I may be the only one on YouTube that purchased the refill of the Hermès eyeshadows. I discovered a few things that I would like to share with you. Hi, so today we will talk about these Hermès eyeshadows. I have a kind of anti-haul video where I listed 3 reasons not to purchase these eyeshadows, but I was too curious to try them, and honestly, I didn't want to pay more than $100 for a quad. So I decided to go for the refill. I ordered directly from the Hermès website, and the package, I'm in Europe, in Italy specifically, and the package came from France. I was too curious because I've seen people raving about these eyeshadows, and I've seen kind of a blurring effect that I was curious about. So I thought that it was worth investigating. And you know that I'm picky with formulas, and it's what we're gonna focus on, and also dupes. I picked this number 5 Ombre Fumées, and I also picked Ombre Végétal, that is number 2, I believe. Anyway, the green quad. The refill doesn't come in the orange box. All the refills, also for blushes, for example, come in this, white box made of recycled paper. And we can see the ingredients here. Let's focus on that. I was curious to know whether there would be fragrance, but it seems it's not fragranced. Most of them are talc free, but the surprise color, as you can see, has talc as first ingredient. So at least there's no fragrance, so they are less irritating. And also in this box there are also instructions on how to place the refill. The case is something like this. This is the case for the blushes, and I kept the case. I decluttered all of my Hermès blushes. I had 2 of them. I decluttered them. I didn't think they were anything special, and the blushes were fragranced, and I didn't like the fragrance. This is the size of the eyeshadow quad, that is smaller than even the packaging of these Hermès, just to have a comparison. This is a Chanel quad, and I think that even the Chanel are quite small, but it's still bigger than this, just to have a feeling of the sizes we are talking about. So this packaging comes with a plastic container, and you get then the plastic. And you can see that I have depotted the brown ones. They come with holes, and also at the bottom of the packaging you find a pin that can be used to remove this plastic from the original packaging that has a hole. So you are supposed to remove this plastic from the full packaging, and then you can put your refill. I don't know, but I'm afraid that this plastic component here is also glued into the full packaging. For the blushes were glued, and I did this by myself by putting a magnetic film that I fit in this rounded shape. What you can see here is that, of course, they do not fit because, the space for the blush is smaller compared to this. But imagine that the quad has these sizes. The feeling that I had was that these were quite small. I just wanted to compare. This Chanel quad has less product, 2 grams. These are 3 grams. So they are comparable to Chanel in terms of sizes, with the exception of this square. So I will put this for sale. You can find it on my Vinted account that I will link down below, because I'm not interested in these colors. I have plenty of these color stories, cool tone color stories. This should be a charcoal gray, and this is a nice silver. I don't like silvers on me. This is not the same for Prada. Also, this is on sale in my Vinted, so I don't touch it anymore. But you can see that you get much more with Prada. Prada is 6 grams, so is double the size of the Hermès. And this is the comparison. So this is the Prada refill that is full of product, and this is the Hermès refill. They say that they are inspired by the Bauhaus, that actually is an art school that was founded in Germany. The Bauhaus school started, let's say, a type of style that is based on geometric shapes and kind of minimalistic shapes. So I can recognize that in, you know, the choice of basic geometrical shapes, squares and circles. But yeah, I don't find it so special. Maybe unconventional in the sense they decided to pair the circles and the squares. That's the reason why I decided to purchase the refill. I said, okay, it's more or less the same price as the Prada refill. And I was happy with Prada. You get something more for what you paid for. You get practically a quad, and you can fit the quad into a, you know, a palette. While I don't have the same experience with Hermès, because with Hermès you get plastic, and I can show you. I don't like to put this plastic here. I mean, it's much better to just pop up the eyeshadows, and it's what I've done, as you can see. A good thing is that also the plastic comes with holes. Although they do not sell refills singularly, at least there's a possibility to, you know, popped up the eyeshadows through these holes. But the eyeshadows are not magnetically attached, they are glued. As you can see, there's a residue of glue here. So you need a little bit of pressure, but you can use this pin here to do the job. You see, you need some pressure because you have to win, you know, the glue that stick the eyeshadows on the plastic case. So this is going to the original packaging and is going on Vinted. I won't touch it because these are new, not touched. But I can focus on the two eyeshadows that I popped up. And these eyeshadows from the Ombres Fumées are here, is this one and this one. So at least they are magnetic. Let me show together with the other two colors, so you get a feeling of the quad, although I think that you have seen it everywhere. This is what I've done. I removed the two eyeshadows and I use them. I can tell something about these eyeshadows based on the experience I had with these two. I tried it for 3 days. So these I've used, these not. Okay, let's focus on this. These are magnetic, so the moment you remove them, yeah, make sure that you remove all the glue, because there's a residue of glue there. They will be magnetically attached to this base. For example, I have this. We can try to do this. Yeah, so let's talk about these two. What I discovered is that the size of this one, the square one, is the same size of the Viseart pans from the Etendu line. I have this, that is the Paris Love Letter, and these square pans are exactly the same size. So this is the size we are talking about. I've seen commenting about, you know, Sydney Grace and other brands. A Sydney Grace eyeshadow has this size, so just to compare them. This actually is a Anastasia one. It's a stone by Anastasia Beverly Hills. So it's a single, the standard single size. And the Hermes is significantly smaller. And also the Hermes circle is this one. The circular pan is significantly smaller than this. I think that this can compare with Colourpop. Let me pick a Colourpop palette. So this is a Colourpop that's taupe palette. And yeah, it's even bigger. So even the Colourpop pans, they are bigger. These are smaller than, okay, let me do. So this is a Sydney Grace or Anastasia Beverly Hills or a MAC pan. These are the ColourPop pens that you find in, the small palettes, 9 pens or 12 pens. And this is the Hermès. You see how smaller it is compared to ColourPop even, okay? So we are talking about a very, very small eyeshadow here. So I was not pleased with this. Let's talk about the formula. I find that this square one is talc-free. This has talc. This is the typical talc-free formula that it doesn't have pigmentation. I like the blurring quality, so I'll try to swatch it in the best way possible. So there's that. I don't like to put so much pressure, but I don't get pigment from this. And this was supposed to be satin, a satin shade. You can notice that if you look close, but once apply on your eyes, it's matte looking and it doesn't look anything special. What I like is the tone. I like the tones of these because they have some gray in it. This adds sophistication. And that's the reason why I chose this quad in the first place. I wanted a taupish color that was also light enough for me, but I expect more richness in this color. But you have a sheer wash, and this is supposed to be the surprise color, but if you put all over your lid, it doesn't look anything special. I need to add some shimmer. It looks like a matte. Just for comparison in terms of texture, I would like to compare with Viseart. Viseart is my favorite formula. It has talc, but you see how much more I can pick from the pen. So Viseart are more powdery, are softer of a formula. And personally, it's something that I prefer. Because I'm able, if the formula is this way, it is softer. You see how much more pigment you get. And then you can disperse it and blend it in a seamless way. While with Hermès, I love the tones. I like the tones here, but I don't get pigment. Maybe it's just the way I'm used to deal with, deal with eyeshadows. I'm used to the Viseart formula, that is my favorite matte formula. And therefore, when it comes to Hermès, I'm kind of not used to this way of, releasing pigment. It is not powdery at all. I get that. You see, this is much more powdery, the Viseart one. And this talc-free formula is denser, like it happens with all the new talc-free formulations, even the new Dior. This is superior to Dior, in my opinion, because at least it doesn't emphasize texture. I like the way it looks on the skin, but I just spend too much time to build up the look when it comes to this eyeshadow because the pigmentation is weak. And this again, it seems a gray. I don't get oomph, anything I would expect from such expensive eyeshadows. Let me compare also this to MAC. This is a MAC Omega. It's a single eyeshadow. Omega. This is more traditional powder and it doesn't have a lot of pigmentation, but I still prefer it. This is one of my favorite eyeshadow. This MAC Omega seems as pigmented as this one, but is the way that it blends. This as talc is easier to blend than to build up, while this one by Hermès, it's difficult to build up. Both of them tend to be patchy, and it happened to me yesterday morning. I was preparing quickly to go to the office, and I used these two, and this started getting patchy, and I needed to use another eyeshadow, Blend Bunny one, totally different formula, much more powdery, but I wanted to place the eyeshadow, an eyeshadow similar to this, right in the place that I wanted to avoid that patchy look. What I love is the gray tone. As you can see, compared to MAC Omega is more yellow, while the Hermès one, this one, is more, I would say, pinkish. I'm curious to see how this Hermès compares to Natasha Denona Need the Nude. I don't have that palette. Waiting for a Black Friday deal to pick it up. Let me see if I have a Viseart eyeshadow that is close to this so that I can do one eye with similar looks. So this is a palette that Viseart included in my order. Palette that has some folds, and they just use it to store the singles. I purchased singles from the official website. I had to import them from US and it becomes expensive. It's much easier to just buy pre-made Viseart palette because those are available in Europe. But I was unconscious, you know. This color that, yeah, now I'm seeing that it's something that I don't like, right? And I purchased it and I never use it. Is from the colored palette. Anyway, I'm referring to this color. I purchased the Grande Pro that was in the big size. So the big size is this one. This is the old big size that you find, you know, in the professional Viseart palettes. These three are shades that were new shades included in the new Grande Pro one. So the one that was smaller, so they released again a Grande Pro palette that was smaller than this. And when they did that, they included new shades. And I was interested in these because I'm always interested in peaches and taupes. So I want to compare this. I don't think I even ever swatched this. Anyway. So this is the shade. Let me put it here. Okay. Yeah, to be honest, this by Viseart is a tad more pink compared to this one that has more gray. But there's a pinkish hue in these two shades. So I think a better comparison would be Hermès versus Viseart. Let me do my little research and I will figure out something that can match this shade. So I could not find something similar in my Viseart collection, but I found this one that is by Morphe. It's just to show you the different formula, you know, and I want to focus more on the Viseart versus Hermès comparison. I have some residue of eyeliner and I put mascara, but I remove my eyeshadow, so I will start fresh. I'll start with this Hermès eyeshadow. Where is the eyeshadow? I don't have primed eyes. I don't know. I don't see this eyeshadow here. Let me clean the brush. So I clean the brush on the paper and let's do this other eye with the Viseart. So as you can see, I already build intensity with the Viseart. And let me use a Refer 15 brush. So with the Viseart, with a few gestures, I could build the gray and I can see the eyeshadow on my eyes. Let's go back to Hermès. It gives a beautiful blurred effect, but at the same time it's difficult to build up. It takes more time. That's my point. So I like the final effect that there's definitely something on my lids, but it's a different, more subtle look. Now with the Surprise shade by Hermès on the Aqua Water brush, And as you can see, I'm really frustrated with this eyeshadow, not pigmented. I see a veil of color, but surprise what? It's a surprise in the sense that I don't see the eyeshadow. I mean, I don't get a wow fact. It's pretty, but it seems I did a one and done shade. It blends with the other shade too much because this is so sheer that I don't see the difference. It seems that I just applied a gray eyeshadow all over my eye. Let's try the Morphe one. That one is more pigmented. Of course, is Morphe quality. I mean, I don't expect anything here. This is more delicate, but I much prefer Suku. I much prefer Viseart. I like this eye, Viseart plus Morphe, more than this eye. What do you think? After this experience, I won't buy more, and I actually am gonna to return the unopened quad with greens. It's just that I don't get along with these eyeshadows. They are nice, but not special enough, in my opinion. This is not a $100 quality, in my opinion, and the quantity is too small. Now, I get the luxury experience. I get that you pay for the name. It's maybe formulated with good ingredients. I get it. I'm happy because of that. I personally don't think that a quad has the same value of a full Natasha Denona palette. I would rather go for Natasha Denona. I like this color story. It's quite sophisticated, but I don't get along with this formula. I prefer more, powdery formula. So for me, Viseart is a better choice. Even the Suku mattes are, in my opinion, superior compared to these. These remind me a little bit of Prada. These mattes, that was this one and this green, have the same blurring quality, although this is another formula and this is a made in Italy. I get the same blurring effect with these. I like the effect that I got today with this look, but it takes too much time to build these eyeshadows, to get them, to a level where I can detect them. It's too much work in the morning. I don't have the enthusiasm that I usually get with other formulas. Let me know whether you have purchased these Hermès quads, whether you like them, and I'm open to all your input. Everyone has his own experience. For me, I want to purchase more. And see you in my next video. Bye.